everybody, welcome back to another show, another week. This one we're just doing something crazy this week, something I wanted to try. A friend of mine had posted on Facebook, my friend Tony had posted on Facebook a picture of a double chalupa from Taco Bell that he recently had. And I love me some Taco Bell every now and then. Not all the time, once in a blue moon. It's not something you want to eat every day. Drive-through and fast food, you want to, sparingly, here and there, you get in the mood for it. Oh, by the way, this is a tablespoon of butter I'm melting in here. So I saw this double chalupa, and I said, oh my god, I'm going to have a double chalupa. It's been a while since I've had Taco Bell, and I said, I got to try this, and it's for a limited time only, so I wanted to, see what it was all about. So I went and I had one. And I posted a return picture saying, look, got my double chalupa. And there we sat eating our double chalupas, not at the same time, but we had to try them. Well, a friend of his who watches my show and comments, Charlene, hi Charlene, said, you should do that for the show. So I said, okay, see, a request. That's all I asked for is a request. It's not a lot to ask for a request. So Charlene said, make a double chalupa for the show. Okay. So I researched and researched and researched, and we're going to make a double chalupa today. Our own homemade. So that way, even when they decide to stop running it, because it's a limited edition thing, you can make it yourself. Okay? Tablespoon of butter. Here I have 3 tablespoons of onion, minced up really well. 3 cloves of garlic, minced up really well. And 1 jalapeno, seeded, take the seeds out, minced up really well. Okay? So what I want to do is just cook this for about 2-3 minutes. Medium heat, turn that down a little bit. Medium heat, just till it's nice and fragrant. So you just kind of start to wilt all this stuff a little bit, okay? So anyway, back to my story. So I said, okay, so Charlene requested, make it for the show. All right, so I had to research, and I found what I want to do. It's going to be some tricky stuff. Some interesting stuff, but some tricky stuff. It's mostly all spices, what we're doing here. It's not really a lot of other stuff, not a lot of cooking stuff, so to speak. So what you need for a chalupa, one of the ingredients for a chalupa is, or Taco Bell chalupa if you're copying it, double chalupa, is queso dip that you put inside and you put the meat on top. That's kind of the bottom layer inside your shell is some queso dip. So I thought, I'm not going to store-buy queso dip. I've never made queso dip. So I'm going to make my own. So that's what we're starting with, okay? So you're just sauteing these couple things first to make our queso dip first. And then we'll get to our meat and our other stuff. But the real trick, I got my fryer out, is trying to come up with that shell that they make. I'm going to try something. I don't know if it's going to work. I'm hoping it's going to work because it's kind of thick. When you have one of these chalupas, the shell itself is kind of thick. It's not thin like a tortilla, so, really thin. It's thicker. So I had to kind of come up with a different idea of what to do to come up with this shell. So we're going to try something, and you got to fry it. So I'm going to have to get my fryer all ready, okay? But that we'll get to later. So let me just finish doing this part of it, and I'll be right back to tell you what to add next. So next to this now, we're going to add 2 tablespoons of green chilies. Diced green chilies in the can, Goya, okay? We're also going to add 2 tablespoons of chipotle peppers in adobo sauce. Take a couple of the peppers out, chop that up really good, and 2 tablespoons of that too. Okay, so we're going to add both of those things to our pot here. And just mix that all together. It smells great already. You can smell it smells like that spicy nacho cheese. And we didn't even add cheese yet. So I'm just going to get this till it's nice and bubbly and hot. Okay, mix that all really well together. You can smell the smokiness when you use this, the chipotle peppers and adobo sauce. It smells very smoky. So that's going to add something nice, a different, a nice element to this queso dip. Okay, so let me just get that nice and hot. Okay, now to this, we're going to add a tablespoon of cornstarch. Okay, that's going to act as our thickener for our queso dip. Okay, I just want to kind of stir that in a little bit, mix that with our peppers and onions and garlic and such. Okay, get that mixed in there. Now to this, you're going to add 1 3/4 cups of half and half. Okay, and you're going to whisk this whole thing together. Let me just get as much of this half and half out of here as possible. Okay, and then just whisk all of this together. Now this is going to, make sure this is on like a low, medium to low heat, and just let this kind of simmer and thicken up a bit, okay? Take a few minutes, you'll see. You'll see what happens. You'll see the magic of this. I'm guessing. I've never made queso dip. So, but when you add cornstarch to stuff, usually it's to thicken it up. Okay, I moved my queso dip to the back because we've got to bring that to a low simmer. So in the meantime, I want to get started on my taco meat that we're going to need for this, okay? So I researched and found a couple versions of copycat recipes of what they use. Now I've heard and read that they sold a, like, I guess like a packet, a store-bought packet, make sure I get my heat going here, store-bought packet of Taco Bell mix, taco seasoning mix or something, you know, kind of like you buy, you know, the old El Paso taco seasoning mix or whatever. But there were a bunch of different sites that I saw that actually claimed, oh, here's what's in their taco spice, so make it yourself. So that's what I did. I have all of these spices anyway, so I figured, all right, let me just make it. So there's a bunch of spices here. What I'm going to do first, though, is brown my ground beef. Okay, I got about a pound, a little more than a pound of ground beef here. I just want to brown this up, break it up as much as you can, because you know that Taco Bell meat is very smooth, very paste-like. It's grainy. It's like a grainy paste. So just break this up as much as you can, and then we're going to have to drain the fat off of this. So I figure while we're waiting for this to simmer, we might as well get this started, okay? So I'm going to brown this, simmer this, be right back. Okay, so we have our half and half mixture here to a simmer, our base for our queso dip, to a nice simmer. So what I'm going to do now is add to this, whisk it in, 2 teaspoons of ground mustard, 1/8 of a teaspoon of coriander, and 1/8 of a teaspoon of paprika. Also a good pinch of black pepper. Okay, so I just want to whisk these in and just make sure this is a nice smooth mixture that we got going here, which it is. Okay, it's thickened up a little bit, not real thick, but thick enough, which is what we're looking for. Okay, now to this you're going to start adding your cheese to turn this queso dip, or this dip, into a queso dip. Queso being your cheese. So what I have here first is I have half of a block, 4 ounces of cream cheese. Just cut it up into little cubes, okay? Just so it's easier to melt than one big block. Okay, I'm going to put those in there first and just let those melt. Let me turn down my heat a little bit. Seems like it's a little too much of a bubble going on there. Okay, and now this is going to thicken this up even more. Give that a chance to melt, which it's melting pretty quick because it's nice and hot. Okay. And then to that, we're going to add 2 kinds of cheeses. You can do all cheddar if you want. We're going to kind of jazz this up a little bit. Here I have 8 ounces, 1 block, 1 nice sized block, rather than buying the bagged already grated cheese, which you can do, makes it easier. But they probably want you to do a better cheese, you know what I mean? So I'm doing 8 ounces, a block of cheddar jack. So I got a little pepper jack, not pepper jack. Yeah, pepper jack? No, regular jack. Jack cheese and cheddar cheese together in 1 block. You know what I mean? Cheddar jack, they call it. Okay, so I have 8 ounces of that. I'm going to put that into my pot here. Start melting that down. Okay. Make sure you move this around. Make sure it's on a very low heat. We're not looking at this thing to bubble and burn. We just want it to kind of melt and become this nice cheesy sauce, okay? It melts pretty quick, especially because this is so hot already, okay? But let me let that melt a minute. We'll go back and check on our ground beef, which is browning up nicely here, okay? And like I said, make sure that you break this up as much as you possibly can once you get it all browned up, so it's as fine, you know. You don't want a paste. I'm not saying put this in the food processor, although I did think of doing that. But that might be a little weird. And I don't want to puree it. I don't want pureed beef. So you just break it up as much as you can. Alright? Still has to brown a little bit here. So we'll let that go. And then back to this. This is nice and thick now. Our last cheese that we're going to add 4 ounces, or half a block of pepper jack. So I am adding pepper jack just to add a little more zing to it. You know, we got so much going on with the jalapenos and the onions and the peppers and everything anyway. We don't really need to, but I just thought, I had some anyway. A lot of this stuff I had already in the house, so that makes making this stuff a lot cheaper and easier because you have this stuff to use already anyway, so you might as well use it. So I had some pepper jack, and I figured, all right, let me just use that. So there you go. That's it. Just let this sit here and simmer. Keep stirring it until it's really nice and smooth. You don't want a chunk. See, like I can still see chunks of the cream cheese and maybe some of the other cheeses we added, some shreds. I don't want that. I want it all mixed and smooth. So you just keep kind of stirring it around and let it simmer low until it becomes a nice smooth mixture. But that looks like a really good cheese dip already. I should taste it, right? Give it a taste. Preliminary taste and see. That is going to be really, ooh, it's got some after heat. This is going to be really, really killer on our chalupas. And then we have so much of it, because obviously we're not going to dump this whole pot onto our chalupa. So we have so much left over, you just let this cool down, refrigerate it. Then when you want, you know, some chips, queso dip and chips, you got homemade queso dip and chips, and you go sit and watch a movie. Oh, which, by the way, let me just mention it now. One of the movies we couldn't, you know, we watch 2 movies every week. So we only got to watch the one this week, King Kong. The other movie we didn't get to watch, The Birth of a Nation, because it's on order from my library. That's a great thing. You can take movies out from your library. If your library has a great DVD section like mine does, it has a great classic section too, which is awesome. So I can get these older movies. But considering the movie is 1915, you're not going to find it everywhere. So libraries now can exchange stuff between each other. So if your library doesn't have it, they probably are linked with a whole computer thing, online thing, that they swap books and movies and stuff with other libraries. So they'll look for it for you, and they'll find it, and then they ship it to that library, and then you get it. Perfect. But I didn't get it yet. So the review on Birth of a Nation will have to wait till next week. So we'll only have a quick review of King Kong, and we'll tell you what to watch next week, but that's later. That's later. Right now we're just going to focus on our chalupas, okay? But I just figured I'd tell you that now, that we didn't get a chance to watch Birth of a Nation because we didn't get it yet. Alright, so back to this. Be right back. Okay, so our queso dip is done. Our meat is all browned and drained. Here's what we're going to do now. Take a whole bunch of spices. Tablespoon of minced dried onion. You know, like you put on a bagel? That's what you need. That. You need a tablespoon of cornstarch. It always sticks to my bowl here. A tablespoon of flour, just regular flour, okay? You need a teaspoon of beef bouillon, granulated bouillon. You need a teaspoon of garlic salt, a teaspoon of cumin, and a teaspoon of chili powder, okay? So those are our spices right now. Let me shut this off for right now. So I'm ready to add the spices. I don't want to over brown my meat. Okay, and then you need half a teaspoon of onion salt, a half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper, and a 1/4 teaspoon of sugar. Okay, I don't know why sugar eats the heck out of me. I don't know. So I'm just going to whisk those together, all my spices. And that's our cheap mix. Okay? So they say. Is it going to taste like that? We are going to find out, and then I'll tell you. I'll list all the stuff too and the measurements in case I went too fast. I'll put them up on the screen so that way you can follow along with what those spices were. Okay? Okay, so I'm just going to sprinkle my spices onto my ground beef here. And I'm going to add to that 3/4 cups of hot water. Okay? Just like you do when you're making tacos at home with the packet, you know? You always add a little bit of water to that to get the seasonings going, you know? So just mix that all together. Smells like tacos. I don't know if it's Taco Bell tacos, but we, like I said, are gonna find out. Okay, so make sure you scrape all the brown bits off the bottom, because that's where a lot of your flavor lives. Okay, we're on a very low heat again, and we're just going to let this kind of simmer and let these flavors all absorb into our ground beef here. I'm still breaking up. You see big chunks. You need to have this kind of, I mean, do you have to? Not really, but if you kind of want to have that Taco Bell feel, you got to kind of try to make it as close to theirs as you can, okay? So our queso dip is ready. Our taco meat is ready. I have all of our toppings for our chalupa, but now comes the tricky part. I got to turn that thing on and get my oil hot, and then I'll show you what we're going to do with that. It's going to be interesting to see if it works. All right, be right back. Okay, so everything's ready, all our components except our shell. Now, here is the tricky part. Like I said, you can't use a tortilla. So I found these pocketless pitas. It's kind of like a flatbread. But see how they're thicker? It's not like a tortilla, a flat flour tortilla. It's a flour pita, kind of, flatbread thing. All right, so anyway, there it is. Now, to make a double chalupa, because it's got to be big. So now, the trick was, when they do these things, now if you look up the traditional chalupa, like the real deal from Mexico, they do it with masa, which is that cornmeal, and they shape it into these boats. I don't know if chalupa means boat. I don't know. But it's a boat that they make. So how do you make a boat out of this, right? So what you have to do, or what it seems like you have to do, is kind of pinch these in like this, right? On both sides, like that. See, kind of like that. And then fry it. But how do you do that and keep this shape? Because if I drop this in there, you know, with tongs even, these are going to pop back out. See? Like, how do you keep... So I had to jury rig something. We're going to see if this works. I took spatula tongs, like that. And I used some just plain old paper clips. Metal paper clips with no coating on them. Don't get rubber coating or plastic paper clips. Plain metal paper clips. I paper clipped, did here and here to keep the fold. I should probably do a little more of a fold on this side because it seems like it's a little short compared to the other side. Okay? So we just make a little bit more of a dent there. Okay, and I just paper clipped it like that. And then I paper clipped the spatula part of it to the sides. So this whole thing is going to hold this shape, which is what I want. See, it looks like a boat. And then I'm just going to submerge this into my fryer and fry this. Now, we don't want it crunchy like a hard taco fried. We just want it like crispy on the outside, but then you still kind of want it chewy too. So it's the best of both worlds. A little crisp and a little chewy. Okay? So we're going to try that and see if it works. My oil is all ready. 325. No basket necessary. Now, the only thing is, you should probably get some kind of a towel, or, you know, wait, let me get my weight. Let me get my silicone oven mitts, because this thing is all metal, and there's no handle or anything on it. So, it's probably going to get hot from the oil, okay? So let's give it a try. I'm going to tip it so that way the oil goes into the whole basket here, okay? bubbling right up. But I'm just going to hold it in place there, and that's kind of what you got to do. Let me make it now, see, because I got to keep it flat. There's enough oil in here that I could submerge the whole thing, but if I let this rest, it comes out of the oil and it starts to float and blah, blah, blah. We don't want that. We just want to hold it there and let it just fry for a minute or two. All right? Be right back when this thing comes out. Okay. So I'm just going to tilt all the oil out. Oops, I got a hole in this one. That's all right. See, but it's kind of stiff. Yeah, it's a little crunchy on the outside, but you can see it's still a little bit pliable, so that's what we want. Kind of that marriage of in between of crunchy, hard, and soft shells, you know? Now, the trick to this is going to be to get this thing off. If I had more than one of these, I could do a couple at a time, but I don't. So, I'm just going to carefully slide this off of here. Dun, 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 dun. There you go. Okay, just slide that right off. Take my paper clips off. Get the next one ready. Fry a couple of these. So I'm going to do a couple of these. I'm sure they're going to get better. I mean, it should be a little more narrow, but I'm sure it's going to get better the more we make of them. So let me make a few more of these, and then we'll be back to stuff them, fill them, eat them. Alrighty, double chalupa day. I think we're pulling it off here. This is looking pretty good so far. So we're ready to assemble this. There is our shell. See, and they're still kind of squishy, but just a little bit. You don't want to cook them too long. You know what I mean? You want to cook them a minute tops. I mean, frying them anyway, deep frying them. Okay, so let me get all my stuff here. I'm going to start with my queso dip. So we're going to take some of our queso and just kind of spread it in the bottom here. Okay, just like a nice ladle full. It doesn't have to be overdone because you're going to add a bunch of other stuff too. Take some of your taco meat. Okay, we're going to put that right in there. It's a double, so don't be cheap. Okay, like that. It's already looking like a double chalupa. Now, you got to add all your other stuff to this. So, what order do you like to add your stuff? So me, you know, they like to dress it up so you can see this stuff, like the sour cream on the top and blah, blah, blah. I like the sour cream underneath the toppings, so that way when you bite into it, it's not all over your face. Okay? So a little bit of sour cream, we're just going to dollop on the top here. Okay? Then we're going to do our lettuce. Shredded lettuce, you can feel free to push that in there. Okay? Some shredded cheddar cheese, just regular cheddar this time. Not the pepper jack stuff. Some tomatoes, like that. Diced tomato, and that's their double chalupa, in a sense. I'm going to add even more. I want to add some avocado to mine, because I think that's going to really just kick this up. I love me some avocado, and I want that creaminess into my chalupa here. Okay? Double chalupas, people. Look at that. Now the thing is to figure out how to eat this thing. Well, let's give it a taste, okay? I may have to push all my stuff into there so I can really squeeze it like a taco, okay? Let's give this thing a taste and see what we got here. It's going to be hard to bite it, but... Wow. Look. I can't remember if it tastes exactly like the one, but it's pretty damn good. I don't care if it tastes like the other one or not. So you gotta watch though, because the bottom got a little crispy, so it's going to be a mess to eat this thing, but I don't care. All over my face. I am really impressed with myself. I didn't think I could do a double chalupa at home. But my goodness, that is outstanding. Really outstanding. The queso dip, homemade queso dip, really makes it because you can taste the freshness of this queso dip. It's not just like some processed jarred queso dip, which you can use. Any of these things you can use. If you wanted to just use regular taco seasoning and not do all the spices we did, but I wanted to really see if we could capture that flavor that Taco Bell has. You know, it's like KFC's secret recipe. I'm assuming they have their own secret recipe. But my goodness, this is just so good. You get this nice crunch on the outside of the pita shell, but then it's still chewy and squishy on the inside. You know what I mean? Oh, perfect. And my idea of using my spatula to make these boats, I mean, they're not perfect. Who cares? Nothing is perfect. But I'm sure if we did this again, we'd perfect making these boats so they really, really came out. I'm going to work on that. Maybe down the road we'll do it again. Or maybe if I have friends over. This is obviously something you want to do if you have people coming over, because it is a lot of work. Okay, so if you're going to be sitting there frying, have some people over so you can kind of do it together, BS and drink and whatever while you're doing it. Because you're going to need one guy just sitting here frying these things for a little while. They only take like a minute or so, but it is time consuming. And then prepping all your ingredients and stuff like that. But fun. We always have fun doing it. Thank you, Charlene, for requesting double chalupas. We watched this week King Kong, the original King Kong, with Fay Wray. Really well done for its time. I love that whole like claymation thing. It's kind of very Mighty Joe Young-ish. Same thing, same era. That they use to do the gorilla, you know. Whereas nowadays everything is CGI. If you see all the other ones, except for the Jessica Lange one, which I think they was just some guy in a gorilla costume, which that's where it evolved to. But now everything's CGI. But we really liked it. It's worth seeing. I mean, you know, the original King Kong, if you want to see where it all started from, you know, and then you can watch all the other versions after that, because there's God knows how many, and then never mind the Godzilla King Kong crossovers. But anyway, that's what we watched, and we will tell you about Birth of a Nation. Hopefully it comes in this week, and we'll get to see it. But here's what we're watching this week. Number 42, counting down my favorite of the Alfred Hitchcock movies. There's a bunch of them coming up now in this list, 3 or 4 or 5 of them, I don't know. But this one's my absolute favorite. 1954's Rear Window. So suspenseful. Seen this one I don't know how many times. Definitely going to watch it again because it's that good that you can watch it over and over and over again. We'll talk more about it next week. And our other movie counting down, number 41, a musical. But to me, the best musical. So I don't mind watching this one again. 1961's West Side Story. Great musical and movie on its own. Even if they didn't have songs in it, it would still be amazing. But we'll talk about it next week, okay? Those are your 2 movies. Actually, we'll have 3 that we're going to watch this week. But we'll see you then. And hopefully you guys will request something, and I have a cake already. I definitely am going back and doing a dessert next week because I have this cake that somebody sent me the recipe for, but I'm going to try to scale it down and make it sugar-free, low-carb if I can. I have to find some ingredients, so that's another project I got this week, is to try and find ingredients. Alrighty, we'll see you next Sunday, everybody.